We're going to start that over again. Basically, he says here, the plan is for a purely Paladin tank, not married to Vanguard or Knight of the Chalice if it ends up being better. All this needs to do is hold aggro and live. We wanted to go Wisdom/Charisma and utilize the Guardian Angel, which was a gimmick. And if Guardian Angel is garbage, the problem is Guardian Angel isn't garbage. It just shouldn't be the main focus of your build, because think of how much tankier your character would be if you just put points into tank stats that work all the time. That's the great idea. Epic Destiny is just theoretical for tanking. I'll be Dreadnought for easy solo content. Not sure what stacks in terms of armor percentages. We'll take a look at that. And you don't know what you're doing for gear. So, con is higher. It just meant, you just meant the attack stat? No, wisdom is higher. Wisdom 18, con 16. So your wisdom is higher here. So that's not what I'm saying. But anyway, the idea is that this ability is not bad, and I don't think that you shouldn't take it. In fact, Guardian Angel is actually something I really like. The problem is, Guardian Angel only works 30 seconds out of every 3 minutes, and involves you getting to under half health. If you have more health, it takes a longer time for you to get under half. And the more health you have, the more valuable Guardian Angel is as a whole, just in general, the concept. So you don't usually want to use Guardian Angel as like the main focus of the build. You want to keep this, and even keeping the wisdom is fine, but you would much rather focus your stats into the things that are going to give you more defensive bonuses. So I would do something like, if you wanted to keep it this way, I would still just dump the wisdom down in 18, move the con up, and turn all your level ups into con. That way your character has more stats just in general. So your character is a better tank and has more defense. And also, your Guardian Angel is now more potent because the higher health you have, the more effective hit points you have with a higher amount of physical resistance rating. Does Eldritch attacks not share cooldowns with Cleave? No, they do not. So there you go. As far as the actual feats go, let's take a quick look. Ontar sounds good, because I'm assuming Warhammers are in here with improved critical bludgeoning. Warhammers are not generally used a lot by tank builds because of the extra requirements, but yeah, that seems fine. But yeah, it's perfectly fine. You can, pretty much as a tank paladin, you use whatever weapons you want. And especially if you want to have some ability to solo, in Dreadnought, using a Warhammer is a good idea because you get the extra critical threat range, which so it's not too bad. Nice training, search the soul, 2 tower shield efficiency. All this stuff seems pretty good. Greater shield mastery, precision seems fine. Now, because you have the stats, instead of precision, you could also take combat expertise. Combat expertise gives you 10% more armor class, which makes you way tankier. The only downside with combat expertise is it also means that you don't have... so, like, it makes you a lot tankier, which is good, but it makes your cooldowns on your spells longer. Your character is going to have a lot of mana and can use stuff. However, your character is also going to use mostly spell-like abilities for healing themselves. So I would say combat expertise is going to be better than precision in a lot of cases because it makes you a lot tankier. Depends on how tanky you want to be. But if your goal for the most part is to tank stuff, combat expertise is a better feat than precision. Toughness is fine. Epic toughness is good. Overwhelming critical is fine. There's really nothing else you can take. Blinding speed. I don't love blinding speed just because you can usually get an item of speed to fit into almost every build or an augment of swiftness that also covers this off. So I really don't like blinding speed here. I think that your character can benefit from having some other things. And since you're so defensive and you have such high stats, even looking at like your saving throws here, oh man, yeah, we got to work on your saving throws a little bit, but you could take something else to make it so you have no fail on some of these saving throws. So like Epic Will, so you have no fail on will saves. So now your character pretty much can't be crowd controlled, which is pretty good. Immunity to crowd control is a very good ability. You'd also love to get no fail reflex saves on a 1 to prevent a lot of damage, but it also depends on where your defenses end up lining up. But pretty much all these feats are good as well. Yeah, Epic damage reduction is also a good option. But I'm going to hold it with this for now. We'll take a look at some of the other abilities and how they went. And then we can always revisit. So as far as the actual tree goes, you grab Constitution here, but you don't take the percentage hit points in the tree. You don't take 20% bonus health. Oh, man. I would definitely recommend grabbing 20% bonus health. That's for sure. Yeah, there's definitely a couple ways I would change some of these things. Oh, epic defensive fighting. Oh, so you're using epic defensive fighting instead of the sacred defense. Or instead of this. Okay. I mean, that's fine. The main issue is it means that your raises, so you have the ability to raise the dead. Your raises are going to be very, very melee range. and you didn't take Quicken, which means that it's going to be very difficult for you to save raids or in Reaper mode, because you have to stand directly on top of people. So epic defensive fighting on a tank does, especially a Paladin tank, runs into that problem, where you have all this extra mana and all these points where you can be helpful, you can heal people, you can off-heal people, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. But, problematically, if you, let's say your healer dies, and someone else is dying. You're a Paladin. So you're like, okay, well, I have a bunch of mana. You know, your wisdom is pretty high. And your wisdom in this build ends up with 66. That's a lot of wisdom. So your magical breakdown, you have leet mana. How do you have leet mana? Anyway, you have leet mana. And you're like, okay, I'm going to mana the heck out of some people and cast some spells. You can't. So I don't love epic defensive fighting on a tank. It's definitely an option. And you do get 25% health from it. So it's 5% more health than you would get from the Sacred Defense. Again, entirely up to you in terms of whether that would end up, you know, whether that's exactly what you want to go with. But I definitely prefer taking the Sacred Defense over the other thing. But the extra 5% life is noticeable because your character does have, with Epic Defensive Fighting, the extra 5 stacks of it. So it's 25% hit points. So it's 5% more health versus the ability to cast spells. I would say this is something that you can easily change on the go. So this is not something you have to commit to. You have to like hard commit. This is something you can change as you play through the game and the experience. You also grab 150% threat here and 450% threat, so you've got 600% threat of the tree. I actually don't think there's anything wrong with this. A lot of people don't take threat on their tanks. That's not too bad. Grabbing more threat is fine. However, my big worry is that you have currently 1450 or 4454 health. You want to be like kind of north of 5k health on a character like this. So squeaking in a few more points of constitution here and there is actually not too bad of an idea when you have the power to do so. Yeah, exactly. So there's kind of a few different things I would probably adjust around there. I do like the extra 5 armor class from Bulwark Aura. This is actually not too bad. And then, of course, the extra saving throws for all your allies is cool, and it's a buff ability. But you need a little bit more health. I would probably see if I can shove in these abilities here to grab some more constitution on this. But yeah. Epic defensive fighting while soloing. Yeah. And exactly, it's not even, you can definitely take both as well for the extra 5% hit points. As far as the points in the Vanguard tree, you know, you're picking up a reasonable amount of extra damage, getting all the way the extra shield combat here. You've also got the wisdom to hit and damage out of Falconry. Interesting note that Falconry Healer Instinct 2 gives you hit and damage, but Healer Instinct 1 does not. So that is also problematic. Yeah, so keep that in mind. So how would I change this if I was to go around here? Obviously, if you want to keep it in terms of Vanguard, where you're actually doing your shield stuff, that's not that bad of an idea in terms of getting some solo capability. But I wish that there was a few ways we could change some stuff here. So, as I said, the aura stuff I would probably fully remove and take these 4 points out and just grab the Constitution here, because that's going to give you more defense in general, because that's 30 extra hit points just for these 2 points right here. That then scales through all of your percentage-based bonuses, as well as some extra saving throws. The maximum dex bonus for shields is fine, assuming that you actually get some dodge chance out of this character. But whether you do, yeah, you've got... Oh, you use String of Ears. Okay, cool. I'll look into that, but yeah, that's interesting. And Paladins are also weird because they get 10% exceptional bonus to armor class, which is kind of interesting. So you've got those stats there. Yeah, so I'm going to do a quick rewrite of this tree. I don't hate the use of the commanding presence there for the extra threat if you want to grab it for this type of character, because you do need to be hitting the monsters to grab the extra threat, so just keep that in mind. And as a paladin, you don't super need the extra saving throws as long as you have enough charisma, so you're all okay there. And I don't hate Sacred Shield Mastery either. So grab the con, grab the extra con here, so you get the extra defensive stats. I love this. I like the reinforced armor on this side of the tree here. And then, of course, grab the con here, and then pick up Glorious Stand. Harbored by Light is amazing. Divine Revelation is amazing. And Sacred Shield, of course, amazing. This leaves you with 1 point. How do I have 1 point extra? What did I not? Oh, yes, the extra Lay on Hands. Your character Charisma is not going to be super duper high. In fact, you only have 33 built into your character build right now, which you can easily bump up. But even still, with a low Charisma, I wouldn't even really focus too much on Lay on Hands, because your character is not a Charisma-based Paladin. With this build, I would probably would shift away from the wisdom. But again, the wisdom gives you the hit and damage, and it's also kind of unique with this character build, and I don't think it would be so bad that your character wouldn't be able to function. But yeah. Are you sure about grabbing Con instead of Charisma on the Paladin tree? Yes, this character is a tank, so it needs to have as much, as many points of health as possible. Yeah, so instead of that, I mean, what else would you want to do here? You could probably just keep it anyway. But yeah, swap out the points here, grab the capstone. It's important to note that Eternal Defender gives you a ton of extra physical resistance rating, as well as additional melee threat as a passive. So your character has a ton of additional melee threat, which is not too bad. As far as the actual Vanguard tree goes, your stunning shield is going to be based off of your constitution, because your constitution is your highest stat. So your actual stunning bonus, I don't know how much you're going to have here, but you don't go with Divine Might. So your DCs are going to be a little bit lower. You don't have Deadly Instincts, so your DCs are going to be a little bit lower. So right now, your bonus to stunning is probably... Because again, you would go Divine Might if you were Charisma-based. But your bonuses to stunning is 9. So you're not even really stunning monsters with the Stunning Shield either. So unless we change up some items or do something different, you're going to run into that problem as well. Yeah, I'm trying to make this the best wisdom-based tank paladin that I can. So we're trying to focus on that and stay in that like framework, guys. We're trying to stay on wisdom-based tank paladin. As far as other defensive things, if you want to use this tree offensively, I would probably drop the stunning shield entirely because you're not going to be able to stun most monsters. Even if you happen to have like change up the items to fit in like something that does stunning as opposed to something else. Also, this has way too many items in the winter set. You definitely don't need that many, and you can get some other things. In fact, you probably want to fit in Sharn and Winter set, because the Sharn set is better than the Winter set, although the artifact bonus to Constitution is not too bad. And I believe, does the Sharn set grant armor class on it? It does. I would say you could probably even, instead of the set that you're using right here, use a 6-piece Winter and the Sharn set if you wanted. Although that would require you to drop something like the String of Ears out of this build, getting rid of some of that quality wisdom, and possibly the Crown of Leaves as well for a lot of that hit chance. You'd have to have like 2 different item sets here. Also, what's up, Aaron? How you doing? I want to put 2 points in the Sacred Defender Hardy Defense instead of E4 Con. Yeah. Charm pieces were lower bonuses, you thought? No, they're the same. All the Sharn stats and Feywild stats are identical. They all use the same stat scaling. So they're all the same. The level cap didn't increase, so they couldn't add more DPS items. So fitting into this character build, how do we want to change this? You don't need to use the Duskbone Ring. We want to fit in the Sharn set if possible, which is the helmet, the necklace, and the armor. So dropping these 2 things actually would pull you down to a 7-piece, and you just need to drop 1 more piece of autumn or winter gear to get out of this. So 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, 4 piece, 5 piece on the gloves is still pretty good, and 6 piece on the Dire Bear belt for the Insightful Sheltering. Seems fine. So you swap out the String of Ears for the standard issue Sigil, which grants the spell saves as well, which basically means you're kind of immune to spell magic as a benefit. You swap out the Crown of Leaves here for the standard issue helmet, standard issue faceplate, which is going to give you some more Intimidate, as well as you don't really need the Insightful Physical Sheltering, but you can swap that out there. So your character's losing some offensive stats. Swap out the Winter Plate for the Watch Captain's Plate, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can swap out one of these things. Does your character lost a little bit of wisdom, but you gained more defensive stats in other places, because with the Sharn set now, on top of that, the Winter set gives artifact bonus to physical resistance rating. This one now gives you artifact bonus to magic resistance rating as well, the threat generation stack, and the artifact bonus to cold absorption, as well as you're getting better items because you have more defensive stats. So you got the extra Intimidate from the standard issue faceplate, you got the legendary standard issue Sigil, which is pretty good. Yeah, you could keep the 7-piece if you want for the extra 5% armor class. The artifact is the gloves, the Prince's Gauntlet. Do the stuff. Also, thank you for the hydration, Aaron. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. I can't change the focus of the build. So now you say, okay, but if you do a character build that's more like this, you've run into a couple problems. One of the main issues being Number one, you've dropped out a couple points here, so you've dropped out some wisdom that you otherwise normally had, which is, you know, not ideal if you're trying to cap out wisdom. And you've also running into the problem of like, okay, what do I do if I'm soloing? Because now my character's got higher defensive stats, which is good. You know, more magic resistance rating, physical. I've got some more stats and more elemental absorption, but now I'm not as strong as soloing, and that is exactly why with this build you would have a second gear set, which is the solo gear set, which is more focused on soloing with this type of character. So you have the standard gear set, and then you'd have the solo gear set. The solo gear set allows you to kind of retain a lot of these elements and then swap back to the places that you used to have. So for example, if you're not trying to be as tanky, then yes, that is where you would use the Crown of Leaves to give you those extra pieces from the extra set of defensive stats if you want. You'd also want to maintain a bunch of those other stats. So I would actually probably keep most of the winter stuff. So get like the deep snow boots, get this item back, the Nocturne Ring, and you can even grab, if you wanted, instead of some of these other stats, you could just grab some more offensive pieces if you wanted to have them as like a swap in. If you wanted to keep the armor the same, you could probably do that, although you wouldn't have to. You could still swap to the legendary Winter Solstice. I always love the chainmail the first snow. I don't know how to make this work. Yeah. And then you could even keep your artifact if you want, so that way you don't have to swap out the artifact. But then as a result of this, you can then get a little bit more flexible with some of the other item pieces that you're wearing. So for example, Dire Wolf. You could wear the Dire Wolf belt as a separate piece instead of the Dire Bear belt here to give you the extra bonus. Over here, you're still going to grab, this is where you would keep the String of Ears. So you got that String of Ears. So essentially, you've got the two different set bonuses together. I still liked that choice that you had of the Battle-Worn Metal. This is a great item just for offensive characters, any types of tanks, what have you, because it gives the greater heroism for free, so you don't have to actually try to focus on getting in any of the different stats, which is just convenient and very, very nice. Now, interestingly enough, instead of the Direwolf belt, you could also use the Belt of Sure Strikes. I'm a big fan of this belt. However, because you're already using, you know, so it could be a little bit of extra damage. It's entirely up to you. Yeah, and then what else did you have here? Yeah, the other thing, and then this is the collective sight that has the Wisdom and Insightful Wisdom. Yeah, you would probably keep that as well, because you're trying to do Wisdom, Insightful Wisdom. Wisdom. Oh, no. Collective sight. Oh, nope. Collective sight. So you'd keep that. Keep that wisdom. Nope, that's strength. I don't know how I click strength. Come on, brain. Insightful wisdom. That seems fine. Yes, tanks are very, very difficult. Also, no matter what, if you're playing a tank, you're always swapping items around. Just keep that in mind. That's like literally just going to happen. There's no way to kind of escape the item swapping on a tank for depending on your scenario. You would still keep the Winter Shield, because the Tower Shield is very, very good. The Bulwark of Snow pretty much fits in this build perfectly. As far as a Warhammer is going to go, I'm loading weapons. So you had Reflection of Whelm on here, which is probably the best one, except for, because there isn't a new one gotten from a raid, so this is the only raid one, so this is probably the only weapon you're going to use, so you'd probably just keep that as well, unfortunately. However, you have a couple options in terms of whether you want to use a different cloak, you want to use a different item. So this is going to sound really crazy, but if you're soloing and you're going to be doing damage on your own, you can still keep the Cold Iron Bracers, because this is 92 hit points, which is fine. But a weird flex and a weird sub in here, there's a couple different options that I like, and double strike is usually one of those things that can be hard to come by. Mantle of Fury is great because it gives double strike and a dodge bonus, which is kind of cool. The Cloak of Summer gives strength, Insightful Strength, and more double strike, plus it gives fire absorption, again another neat item. And the Cloak of Spring doesn't give any of those things. I don't know why it even has, I think it's because of the artifact bonus. So Mantle of Fury or Cloak of Summer, both of these things give a whole bunch of double strike, which is pretty nice, and it's one of the reasons why I like taking these. So if you're doing this on like a DPS set, you can definitely do that. Cloak of Summer is probably going to be a little bit better just because you don't need any of the other stats here. It gives you strength, which is for free, and prevents some knockdown. It gives you some fire absorption, although you don't really need too many pieces of the summer set. But still, it's not too bad. And then lastly, if you wanted to keep some of the stunning in your build, you would go here and you would pick up the Lionheart Ring, which might seem kind of weird, but it's got Insightful Armor Piercing, it's got the Stunning, it's got Action Boost Enhancement, which you don't have any Action Boosts, but the benefit of this is now with your second piece, it's also got the Fortification Bypass here, so now your character actually has some Fortification Bypass and is a little bit better for soloing and deal with that solo stuff, so you keep this as like a swap. So by having this as a swap, you still get to keep your defensive tank stuff. So say for like lower Reaper mode, you just want to do a little bit more damage, you have some of those abilities there. However, if you want to go pure tank, you want to actually have the the extra tank stats here. Again, one of the big ones is picking up extra Intimidate as well, because you want to make sure you're intimidating stuff. This character's biggest failing is its Intimidate, because you didn't put in skills, that's fine. But this character, one of its biggest failings is Intimidate, because you don't actually have a way to get a high amount of Charisma on this character build, unfortunately. Fitting in Charisma is really, really hard to do here, because your items are very they're kind of stuck. The only exception I would say is probably if you wanted to, Charisma, is you could grab, oh, is it really, it's not even on here? Oh, interesting, okay, anyway. You could grab one of the items, one of the rings from Sharn that you can craft with Charisma. I believe that only ends up being the Celestial Amethyst ring if you wanted to craft Charisma, because I don't think you can craft Charisma on any of the others. No, that's Strength and Constitution. Or alternatively, on this set, you could grab, yeah, the Celestial Emerald ring, which gives the Linguistics, so you can intimidate more often. Grab the Wisdom here on this item instead, and then swap in, on the goggles, swap in Charisma to get an extra 21 Charisma in the build. So the downside is you lose on the Duskbone ring, which you don't lose a whole lot. All you're losing is 33 armor class, basically, or 33 hit points. But then the benefit is now instead you're gaining the Linguistics, so you can intimidate faster if you want. And you also grab an extra 21 Charisma, which gives you more Intimidate, and also gives you plus 10 to all your saving throws, bringing most of your saves up to a better area. But the Topaz Ring also has Charisma? Yeah, but the Topaz Ring doesn't give as many good stats. It's got... Actually, it has Parrying and it has Lesser Displacement. Does this build have Parrying yet? What item has Parrying in here? No parrying, no parrying, no parrying, no parrying, no parrying, no parrying. No. 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 Yeah, it's on here. It's on the standard issue sigil. Yeah, the gloves are way better. So now you've got a little bit more stats in a couple different areas. So this is like I said, like your tank set. You still have some different stats. You have some more Charisma in here. You have a little bit more Intimidate, although not that much more. Again, if you put the actual 23, this is 101, which is good for most content, but not very good for raid bosses, which is where you need to carry on the damage. Now, important note, this character is also not going to quickly strike very often. Nyastil's defense, people don't usually go with the 5-piece Nyastils. They only go with 4 for the 100 hit points. So you'd want to drop one of these, probably dropping will saves. But MRR is fine. Getting all that stuff in there is good. And then if you wanted to continue going on for filigrees, because you're not changing out your filigrees when you go to the other set. Even if you're soloing, you're not changing out your filigrees. You're keeping it there. For this one, you're going to swap in Grandfather's Shield filigree, which is really good. So I would definitely go with the Grandfather's Shield, because you want to get that 5% extra armor class. There's a raid Grandfather's Shield if you can get access to it, which gives you +2 Constitution, which is pretty good. In fact, if you double up and get 2 of these, you get 4 Constitution, and you actually get access to the Grandfather's Shield 3-piece, and you get the +4 saving throws versus poison. Woo! Those are very good. It depends on whether you actually want to do raids or not, so I'll leave that up to you. So for now, I'm going to leave this as not really doing as many of the raids. But now you've got Constitution, and the armor class here, which is not too bad. You're picking up some extra defenses. And then after that, I don't actually know what people use on their tanks. It's not Radiant Shield, is it? I don't think people use Radiant Shield. I don't think people use Radiant Shield. Because this is not that great. Although you could, if you wanted, take the threat increase. Have increased threat on your melee attacks. And you get Intercession Ward, which prevents you from being quelled, which is not necessarily important. But since your character is focused very much on that, you could do that if you wanted. Grab, like, the Constitution and the threat increase. Yeah, and there's also Bravery throughout, of course. Yeah, it depends on whether you want a full raid set, which is also very important. Yeah, you've got the Bravery throughout, which also gives the melee threat. Again. Yeah, but again, you got to stay. We're staying in focus on the idea of this character is. Oh yeah, the 5% armor class there. And there's the rare filigrees too. Man, that's the crazy thing. If you have all 11, then you can get like the Bravery throughout. So you grab the raid filigree for Bravery throughout. Bravery throughout. Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. That's what you want. And then just grab Bravery throughout. I did Con, Intimidate, Bravery throughout, and PRR. There you go. Now you got 90 Constitution. You got a little bit more health. Your health is a little higher than it was before. Still not as high as you want it to be, but we're a wisdom-based tank, so we do what we can. Pick it up a little bit more armor class. You're at 325, 300 PRR. As I mentioned before, if you want to tank like any type of mid-reaper, that sort of thing, having above 300 PRR armor class is usually enough. So that's pretty good. And your fortification's good enough. You got lots of healing amp. And then you keep things on melee threat, so it's important to note, looking at your threat. I don't know if it's on here. Is it on here? Offensive breakdowns? Offensive breakdown. Melee threat is 12,053, so that's a good place to start. As far as unyielding, let's judge the unyielding now. If you're taking melee threat, you should probably take commanding presence, because that's important. Also, you don't want endlessly on hands, because your charisma sucks, so you'd rather use renewal, which is really, really good for yourself. I don't recommend using draw them out, because draw them out is not as good as Celestial Mandate, so you just take Celestial Mandate instead. And you can pick up some more Constitution here. So I'm just going to do a quick redesign of this tree. And your twists... Oh, man, I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so you grab this every time. You want to grab the Commanding Presence because you need the threat. You want to grab Renewal. Grab some Constitution here. Grab a point here. Grab, like, a Constitution here. Grab your Strength of Vitality. You want Undying Vanguard. You want this. You want this. And there you go. This would be how I would do this. Now you've got more melee threat. More renewal, so it heals you even more. A little bit extra constitution for some more health, and picking up still a lot of the good stuff. If you're twisting this in as a tank, of course, it doesn't matter what type of character you're playing, especially as a tank. Guys, what is the best thing you can do in the game in terms of, what's the best ability you can get? That's right, it is... Oh man, they're all here. And this one's not in the thing. Fate Singer. Marshal Hymn, that's right, you want Marshal Hymn. That's right. Marshal Hymn. Marshal Hymn. Also, Smite the Wicked. You don't want Smite the Wicked. Smite the Wicked's bad. So you got to grab Marshal Hymn because it's too good. Fate Singer. Why? Because Marshal Hymn gives health and wisdom and physical and magical resistance rating and armor class and melee power. It's all the stats you want. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, for the future. For the future. And then you can replace this. Even you can do that? Yeah. You can replace this back if you want to keep that haste boost for the extra attack speed. Action boost haste, and you would just keep it like this. I don't like Purge the Wicked that much. I think Purge the Wicked is going to give you some bad times. If you had a better twist, I would probably twist in at a Primal Avatar Rejuvenation Cocoon, so you can be a little bit tankier. And let's take a quick look over the Dreadnought tree that you have dreamed up. And, oh, the only thing I would change is I would swap out one Constitution for Advancing Blows. But the reason why you want Rejuvenation Cocoon is to use on both yourself and also other people. Nice replacement, but you've never tried it. Yeah, Boulder's Might's very good. Yeah, so this is pretty much where I would end with this character. So this is the Wisdom-based Paladin Tank Vanguard type character. I'll do the swap here and swap that over there. The reason why you want this in Dreadnought is because this is effectively +5 to hit and damage. Which for 2 points is way better than 1 point of Constitution. And yeah, now you got 92 Constitution, so you went up a little bit. Your health is up a little bit. Armor class up a little bit. And just generally more well-rounded. You got some more saving throws, what have you. If you're playing as Wisdom, no, you don't want to be Knight of the Chalice if you're Wisdom. If you're Charisma, definitely Knight of the Chalice. Definitely Knight of the Chalice. And it's a better character than this. But for Wisdom, this is you want to stay in the Vanguard side. Because Knight of the Chalice is very much focused on Charisma.